chances are, and what I see mostly is people say, I'm cutting everything out. No sugar, no bread, no pasta, nothing. I'm doing it because I want to lose some weight.
Welcome to the Project My Life podcast from Monetti Productions.
What's up, world? Anthony Monetti here, Project My Life podcast. We're down with another episode. We're about to get down with another episode, I should say, talking about, you know what we're talking about, Karen?
Yes.
What are we talking about?
The all or nothing mentality.
Oh, this is my wife, by the way, my beautiful bride.
Karen Monetti.
Karen Monetti, M-O-N-E-T-T-I. Double T-I, okay. I just got done working out, by the way. Do I look any bigger?
Huge.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Are my muscles attractive? You attracted to my muscles?
Yes.
I got to talk into the microphone. You are?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite muscle group that you find the most attractive?
Quads.
Really?
Oh, I love, yeah.
I should walk around the house naked more often. Maybe I should start training legs
and
again.
abs. Quads and abs. Quads and abs.
So
Mhm.
what happens when I have a little fluff?
I still love you, babe.
So, but that's the most
Thick
attractive.
and
Now
thin.
that I know that's the most attractive muscle group.
That's how we fire you up, huh?
Oh, boy. Well, I got to work on my abs. Is there such thing as spot reducing? Anyhow, we're talking about the all or nothing mentality. Real quick side note. Do you believe in post-workout carbs?
Yes,
You do.
I do. It depends
Okay. On?
what your goal is
Okay.
and what you've eaten for the day and what the plan for the rest of the day is, what you worked out with. So there's a lot of dependence on that. But yeah.
My food was a little bit low today. I trained middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Good back workout, 20, 30 minutes. But I was a little low on food going into it. So I figured I would drop some carbs post-workout.
It's fine.
With some protein, of course, because protein is more important post-workout. That said, does it affect the way I'm burning fat, metabolizing fat? From
Yeah, a
your
little
opinion?
bit.
It does, right?
Yeah, but it's also, what is your goal right now?
Right.
Is it to build muscle? Is it to preserve muscle? Is it to burn fat? Is it a little combination of everything?
Well, before we go into the all or nothing mentality,
Oh, boy.
here's what my goal is. It has changed
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking about I'm going to be on stage this year, later in the year, September, October, November-ish, right? I also want to sign up for a sprint triathlon.
Me too.
So that's in May. So I need some
Oh.
I need some training for that.
Okay.
That said, I can probably be miserable and get through it now, but I would be miserable getting through it.
What's
so
the point?
I want to train for it, and I want to have something to that's something new that I've never done. So I think that would be fun to kind of.
So does that mean you're going to come running with me?
That means I'm going to try to jog behind you. Yes, it means a wog. It means the Monetti wog. It's like a walk/jog. A little bit more intense than a walk, but not as quite as much as a run. It's right in the middle. It's a wog. And with my fat ass, it like waddles. So it's a good little visual for some people out there.
Goodness. It's not that you have a fat
No, I'm joking.
glute area.
It causes
You
a
have
little-
so many big muscles that you just don't move so easily.
Well, now we're talking. So many big muscles. That's my girl. Anyway, that said, my goals have changed because I
Yeah.
think I've been like in this like cut, lose weight because my wife loves the abs vibration.
You just found that out now, so don't use that.
But I've been trying to stay lean and keep my calories and keep my carbs, and I feel like my weight hasn't come down, and I feel like it's sleep, and there's a couple of variables that are preventing me from actually losing the fat right now. Even though my body hasn't changed so much, I see a little bit leaner, visible, more lines. You're not even connected to this conversation, are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm
All right.
trying to pay attention
Okay,
because
cool.
we're not even talking about the
Eyes
topic
up
we're
here,
supposed to
Karen.
be talking
Stop looking
about.
at my big muscles. Eyes up here. So, with I've been dieting or trying to stay lean or trying to get lean, and I'm looking at it like if I'm going to go start dieting for a competition, I need at least 4 months. So that's 16 weeks at least.
But you shouldn't be in depletion starting the diet. You have to put yourself in a surplus in order to start the dieting
That's
process.
the thing. So even with folks who are listening to us who are non-bodybuilders looking to get in shape, you can't always be in a calorie deficit. I know that may be what you need to lose body fat, correct?
Sure.
However, if you're in this calorie deficit for the past 5 years of your life trying to lose weight and nothing's happening and you're always depleting yourself, maybe it's like, let's find maybe some new goals. Maybe it's more of a maintenance factor, and then you can drop down and then you can build back up, right?
Let's talk about diet break.
Dieting break. Hey,
It's called
there's
diet breaks.
But that's not selling any programs, Karen.
Yeah, well,
The diet break is not selling any programs. So people don't want to hear that. They want to know about the next best thing to get them to lose weight. Anyway, sidetracking. So what I decided to do is actually bump up my food, bump up my calories for the next 2 months. I went from pretty much 175 carbs. I'm going to bring it up to like 325 gradually.
sounds like heaven.
Sounds like fun. I'm going to increase it a little bit, and proteins are going to be about the same, 225 to 250. If I have a higher protein day, it's not going to make a difference, but at least 225 protein. And my fats are going to be anywhere from 75 to 85 ish. You think that's too low or good?
No, you're fine.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking for the next 2 months, and then I'm gonna start my diet, so to speak, for later in the year. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hold me accountable.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyhow, let's get into it. All or nothing. What does it mean? We talk about that a lot. I'm actually wearing the Giant Killer Sean Clarida. We did a little vlog 2 weeks ago. We went out to see him. That wasn't last weekend. It was
2
the week
weeks
before
ago.
that. Monster in a good way in the bodybuilding world. He was in our organization, WMBF, won all major titles. You guys can check out the vlog on my YouTube channel. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go back and see that vlog. But I want to get him in here for a podcast. That'd be fun to just,
He's such a cool dude.
He's a really cool, humble dude. He's Karen's height, but my size.
He's like an inch taller, let's be honest.
He's an inch taller than Karen, and I'm not using that as a reference point. I'm using that as a reference point so you can visualize the amount of muscle that this man carries. He's, just about maybe a little bit lighter than me, but your height.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like he was literally chiseled out of granite. An amazing physique, great lines, great shape, symmetry, amazing, beautiful bodybuilder to watch. Posing routine, everything.
He's great.
in.
He's so polished.
And I'm not just blowing him up because I'm his friend. He's that guy who's dedicated his life to going all in. So I feel like it's ironic that I'm wearing his shirt, and we met him a few weeks ago. So everything's tying in together. But anyway, he went all in. His hashtag that he uses all the time is hashtag no plan B, meaning plan A, that's it. I'm going all in, either, pro or bust, or, top of the world or bust, so to speak. So
yeah, but even if he doesn't get the top of the world, there's still no plan B because he'll just keep grinding at plan A.
That's my point I'm trying to make. And I love that because people say like, oh, there's you have to have a plan B. What if plan A doesn't work out? Well, and that's kind of a mindset of like, oh, well, I'm second guessing if it's going to work out. So
or it's also building excuses in already of why you're not going to get to where you really want to be.
There you go. I agree. It's definitely, preventing you from actually fully believing that plan A is possible. That said, when you do have that approach, you need to be understanding that there's going to be a lot of dark times, I feel like, because it's not just overnight success. It's not possible. We hear and see people like those folks who didn't know Sean Clarida before he won the Mr. Olympia. I know him since 2005 when he was grinding out in these local shows and winning and placing and maybe not doing as well as he could have, but he kept at it and he kept going. You don't see that. There's no overnight success. So maybe he had no plan B, but he went all in on plan A, and he was willing to deal with the BS that came along with it. He was willing to have patience. He was willing to grind when, he maybe didn't, see it, or he wasn't able to actually feel it at the time. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So can you relate to anything personally with that?
My whole life?
Your whole life. Talk to me about it.
I mean, which aspect? I mean, I could take it into my fitness career. I could take it into our business career. I could take it into personal.
Start somewhere and we'll build on it.
So what, the exact question is what? Having the all or nothing mentality?
What does it mean to you?
So it means not having a plan B and doing anything at all costs, ethically and morally for sure, because that's the line I will never cross, but doing everything that you need to do to get you where you want to be. And the all or nothing mentality is like you're all in or you're not in at all.
Right.
Not like my toes are in, so I'm dabbling, so maybe I'll try it. And that's okay to do that. But once you really want something and once you commit to something, you go in.
Have you ever had to go to a plan B? Have you worked?
Yeah, because of injury.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah. I
Go
don't
for
care.
it.
Let's see which one. Which time? So after I was done competing in figure, I wanted to run a marathon, and I still have that desire to run a full marathon. I've only done half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, all of that. I've never gotten to the marathon yet. And I was training for one. I was training really hard for one. And when we were in Barbados on vacation, I still was training. I was hitting my mileage, and I was running on the treadmill one day, and something popped in my calf. And I went to physical therapy when we came home, and I was like, listen, I'm still going to run this marathon. You need to fix me. And I'm going to run with this calf regardless.
And you did it.
I ran for probably like 3-4 weeks after. And I remember I had an 11-mile run because it was only halfway through my training. I had an 11-mile run, and I physically couldn't put my foot down anymore. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't run anymore. So I went back to PT, and they're like, yep, we knew this was going to happen. So I went through PRP, I went through rehab, and I just couldn't run. They said, if you continue running, you might do some serious damage. And then what is that going to do long term?
Yeah.
So that all or nothing, for me, I still have that goal of training for a marathon. And when I'm ready to really seriously commit to it, I will do it again. But that's the only time I've ever not really fully followed through when I put my mind to something, was because I physically was injured, and it would be more detrimental to continue than to just pause that and do it at another time.
I think that's key, is that I always go back to awareness and knowing, somebody once said to me, you can go all in, right? And you're climbing this ladder. Think about a ladder on the side of a building, and your goal is to get to on top of the building. And you're climbing the ladder, and you get to the top of the building, and you realize that it's the wrong building that you should be climbing. So what do you have to do? You have to go back to the bottom and put that ladder on a different building, and so forth and so on. So I feel like awareness is key in knowing what point in your life that it's time to make a different decision, and be okay with it, and not be, because if you had all plan A, and we know, personal experience, especially recently, that we may want something really bad, but if it's not the right time, whatever you believe in, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in universal attraction, whatever you believe in, if timing isn't right, it's not going to happen. And a lot of people, I myself, have been like, damn, this is not the way I planned it. This is not the way I wanted it to happen. So when things happen out of your control, what do? Are you going to be wallowing in your misery of, how, woulda, coulda, shoulda, or, be pissed off at the world because it didn't happen the way you planned it? Or do you have a plan B, or do you go with something else? It's hard. It's difficult, because that's why we're reconnecting with this podcast again, because I want to finish what I started, because that was my plan A. I got sidetracked a little bit, and but here we are. We're going back in it. So I think timing is everything, and being aware of it. But I also think that people don't follow through because, like you said earlier, they don't believe it's fully possible. And somewhere along the lines, people give up and then just say it's not worth the extra effort. We were talking earlier about a bodybuilder, Ronnie Coleman, speaking of the bodybuilding world, because I can relate to that so much. Ronnie Coleman was 8-time Mr. Olympia. He changed bodybuilding. Those of you who know bodybuilding, you know it. But those of you who don't know bodybuilding, Mr. Universe and Mr. World, Mr. Olympia is the mecca of bodybuilding. That is like the best, biggest, most produced, biggest paycheck bodybuilding competition. Super prestigious. He did it 8 times. So
nobody's ever done it more than that, right?
No, I think Arnold did it 7. I could be. I'm a little bit.
Yeah,
my data, my facts are. Don't quote me on that, but I think Arnold did it 7. He did it 8, or there was. I don't know. But he will go down as like potentially one of the best. Not one of. He is one of the best bodybuilders. He might go down as the best, arguably. Who's ever talking about him?
That's subjective.
That's
for
subjective.
Sure. The whole sport is subjective.
Right. That said, right now, I think he's only a couple years older than me, maybe like 5-6 years older than me, maybe a little bit older. But he's walking with canes, and he's, he gets around in a wheelchair, and he's been on multiple interviews. Joe Rogan podcast, actually, I think was one of the biggest ones, talking about his journey. Doesn't regret any of it. I'm very happy that I'm 45 and I'm not in that kind of condition. But when I was 25, I would have risked everything to be that champion bodybuilder. So he went all in. It's just another reference point. But there was no plan B, and he has no regrets. I don't know why I talked about that. Why did I jump around like that?
Nobody will ever know why you jump around so much.
Project My Life.
Anthony Monetti's brain.
All right, so let's talk about some realistic stuff about people who are going all in on, let's say, a diet, or let's say on their personal
this
journey.
Is easier.
Yeah, well, no, it's more relatable to things that we deal with on a daily basis, right? So people who go all in the all or nothing mentality, referencing where it's not the best maybe approach to long-term health and wellness. You want to talk about that and start?
Yeah, so we deal with this all the time because I think when people are like, all right, I got to lose weight. It's the first of the year, New Year's resolution, or it's almost summertime, or I'm getting married, or I'm going on a vacation, name it, whatever it is. Whatever reason you want to lose weight. Chances are, and what I see mostly is people say, I'm cutting everything out. No sugar, no bread, no pasta, nothing. I'm doing it because I want to lose some weight. I feel that all or nothing mentality is very detrimental to your progress. Whereas the all or nothing mentality of I will do what it takes to get to my goal is different. Right? So I'll do anything it takes to get to my goal. That's wonderful. But cutting out all the things that you absolutely love in your diet because you have that all or nothing mentality is only going to have you have setbacks, failures. You're going to stop. You're going to binge. Like there's so many negatives to that. So the all or nothing mentality can work in some ways. And I think can also be like your Achilles tendon almost and really hurt you from moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's again, awareness to knowing which is more important at what time in your life. I agree. And I was just telling somebody about the, my bodybuilding, and I always go back to bodybuilding as far as me being, I used to be super restrictive until I learned that like I need to be a little bit more flexible. If I want to look like a bodybuilder, all the time instead of just 3 months out of the year, because I would gain 40, 45 pounds if I wasn't competing. And I would justify it by saying I was bulking, or I maybe 10 pounds heavier in my squat or something like that. I would always justify it by having an excuse as to why I needed this extra weight, when really I would be miserable when I took my shirt off. It didn't do anything for me. Maybe I just felt a little bit bigger with a shirt on, but it was a modified or controlled eating disorder. Because what I would do for a competition is I would go literally tuna, salad, eggs, protein shakes, baked potato, maybe a banana or an apple. And that was it. 12, 15 weeks. Like, I'm thinking about that now. It sounds miserable.
It's terrible.
It sounds like miserable.
Nothing about that seems fun anymore.
But we still hear some people who say they eat chicken 3 or 4 times a day, and that's their source of lean meats all the time. And it's like very restrictive. So I feel like, I would go be in really great shape for a competition, but that's not sustainable. So when I would come off a stage, my mom would say that let the eating frenzy begin, and I would eat like I was going into the electric chair, and I would have 10,000 calories in one sitting. And I still wish we had a picture or video of that one time at your mom's house. Your dad was there, and did he just compete with us or no?
I don't remember, but I remember you went into a heavy food coma.
Dude, we had pizza. We had ice cream. We had all the bullshit
donuts.
Foods that like the most miserable foods that you can possibly think of that also taste really good. We had them in one sitting, and I think there was a picture of me on the couch, just like
mouth open,
10 minutes
passed
after
out.
I ate it. Yeah, it's actually like I'm surprised. I'm very grateful that I didn't get diabetes or something like that. Because if I would have done it a few more times, at an older age, you can definitely, I feel like, screw your metabolism up and also your sugar and how your body reacts to sugar. Can you agree with that or no?
Sure.
Okay. You sound like you want to say something about that.
No, I don't want to say anything.
All right. So give me some advice for some folks out there, Karen, who are looking for the all or nothing mentality.
Well, I feel that the all or nothing, or I like to, even in sessions, I say the black and white mentality, right? Black and white, I like to say, let's mix the two and come up with a gray color, and somewhere in between that works really nicely. So enjoy some foods that you really like, or learn to like spice your foods or rotate your foods out. Or instead of saying, I'm never going to have bread or pasta ever again because I'm trying to lose weight, I always say, like, is the 1 pound weight loss a week worth all the sacrifice of not having a sandwich? at lunchtime. Like it's 1 pound of weight maybe that you're striving for that week. So how about instead moderate yourself, track your food, and factor in a sandwich every single day. So you're still eating bread, but you're still hitting your nutritional goals and you're losing weight. So wait, you can eat bread and lose weight? Yeah, you can. If it's all managed within a certain allotment that you need in order to lose weight, if that is your goal. So instead, again, saying I'm not doing any of it ever again, as opposed to I'm doing it all the time, come somewhere in the middle and say, can I allow myself these foods here and there? Can I indulge? Does it have to be so strict? Because that's only going to last like 2 or 3 weeks, unless you're like super serious and maybe again for a competition. Because I've done it. When I first started competing, it was like 12, 16 weeks of that. It was terrible.
I trained you well.
You did.
You were world champ.
I was. But
remember the time we were in a hotel? I had Karen bundle up with sweatpants, a sweatshirt. She had a hood on.
The parachute pants on top of it.
I put the sauna. It wasn't a sauna. It was a shower. I put it on as high as I can get it. I closed the door.
Hot.
Let it run.
High.
Hot. Let it run for like 10, 15 minutes. And I had Karen go in there and do like jumping jacks.
I was doing
burpees.
Jumping jacks and burpees and air squats all in this heated sauna in a hotel room. It was 2 days before the Worlds in 2007. It was 2007. You were really sick. You almost died. I was very scared.
I think I had walking pneumonia.
Yeah, I think so. You were green and gray at one point. But
I
anyway,
was cheering for you when you took third, though.
Yeah, well, you just blew the whole story.
I'm sorry.
Dang it. So yeah, so you had me do that for like, I was in there for 10 minutes and then I was coming out of that and you would let me rest for a little bit. And we did like a couple of rotations of that to get the last bit of water out and to tighten up a little bit more. Now, I did take third that year in the Worlds. I'm not going to say it didn't work.
And how old were you? You were like...
Oh my gosh, I was only 20... Wait, what year is this? 2006? 24?
24. So you were the youngest one up there by like at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and I was the smallest one too because I'm just such a tiny physique.
Now, I wouldn't recommend that now, folks.
No, there's better ways to do it.
There's better ways of doing it.
But that is the all or nothing mentality that
Right.
I was willing to do anything, again, ethically and morally, right? Anything just for the sake of getting on stage. Now, it works in my favor a lot of times when I do stuff like that. Could I have gotten to there without doing that? Yeah, because I won the Worlds and I never had to do that.
Right.
A couple of years later, I came back and won the Worlds and I didn't do any of that. And I was eating completely flexible. I was having chocolate. I was having ice cream on the weekends, a little bit here and there. I was drinking so much water, right? So again, that all or nothing mentality of hitting my goal, then saying, okay, but in the food, I don't need that. And I never binged after that show.
Right.
I binged after 2006.
Yeah, of course.
But I didn't binge after 2012 because I was eating fun type of foods that were more like everyday things. I was just super diligent.
I think the word's commitment too. So the all or nothing, you can have, it's a commitment to it.
Yeah.
We talked about that in January, about our 3 things this year: community, commitment,
Consistency.
passion.
Compassion.
Well, we can put 4 in
let's
there.
throw
You
the
want to throw a
consistency
consistency in there for the bonus 4. But that was one of them. So when you're going all in, it's the committing to the goal, no matter what you're going to do.
Yeah.
However, understand that it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have to go through some stuff, and you're going to have to be a little bit flexible of when that actually comes to fruition. It's not just going to be when you want it.
Man, I wish we had video of me doing that.
What? The sauna?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have if there was a cell phone back then.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this was like the time of like BlackBerry.
Yeah, but I was
right?
documenting everything. I'm surprised.
You were,
I'm
but
surprised.
maybe there is some documentation somewhere in your box of videos and stuff. I don't know.
I gotta get Joey on that. We have like, I don't know, we have like
Joey,
little mini cassettes. What
do
are they
we
called?
have you on retainer for the next 10 years?
Yeah, she's a lifer. We have the little
The 8
mini
millimeters.
They're not 8mm. Like I think
You
of
have
it.
8 millimeters.
16
Then
millimeter.
you have
I
the
think.
little ones. Then we have oh my
the
gosh,
micro discs that you'd put in the
Anyway.
camera. I have box
That's
full
a
of them.
throwback.
That is
That
Project
is
My
throwback.
Life. Early years back
Yeah.
in the day.
Anyhow,
So sorry, sidetrack with that with the all or nothing mentality, but
But it was part of it. I was willing to get dressed in layers and almost be passing out all night because it was so hot and I was so depleted and dehydrated, food wise, water wise. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I have a competition.
yeah.
I got to get down and weight. It was almost like the wrestling mentality. When the wrestlers, when they're cutting weight, they're like putting those sweatsuits on, like the bags, or back in the day it was trash bags before they made all these suits, and they would like rubber band them so no air would get out. And they would just sweat.
But the all or nothing, it's true, because I was talking to somebody today about it. With Monday through Friday is like they go super strict because they're in a routine with their work. And if you're watching this and you can relate, raise your hand or something so you can just we get it, we understand, we've been there, and it happens. But Monday through Friday they're going super strict. It's easy. They're in a routine. They go to work, they plan their meals, they have it all scheduled, and then Friday comes around and maybe it's a little bit loose with the weekends, and they have a different kind of events on the weekend. Their schedule's a little different, their routine's a little different, and they maybe overeat, or they don't eat, or they just have more foods that they wouldn't normally have, or they want to celebrate their success all week. And it goes right back to the roller coaster dieting of the Monday, I'll start my diet. Friday, let's celebrate that I lost 1.5 pounds. And then Monday, I start my diet again. And it's really just, it's miserable. So yeah, somewhere in the middle, commitment, all in on the commitment, but be willing to be flexible with your approach to how you get there. I think that's perfectly the biggest takeaway. All right, guys, thank you for watching, listening. We appreciate you. We see you, and we appreciate you. You can catch me on Instagram at Anthony, Monetti, and my beautiful, loving, abs and quad loving.
I like calves too.
And calves. Oh, that's even more incentive to bust.
You know why?
Why?
Because nobody really trains those areas. And when somebody trains those areas, it's very impressive.
Be right back.
To me.
I do 100 sets of 10. I'll be right back. My beautiful, ab-loving, quad-loving, calf-loving wife, Karen Monetti. You can catch her on Instagram at
Karen_Monetti, Monetti.
Believe in yourself, trust the process, and practice patience. I will see you on the gym floor.
Toodaloo.
Thanks for listening. For more information, visit our website at thisisbody.com. That's thisisbodhi.com.